A Cinderella run ends at the U.S. Open Cup, but that doesn't mean there weren't upsets, and we'll take a look at the CONCACAF Champions League draw next on The Daily. Welcome to The Daily for Wednesday, June 6th with Greg Lalas. I'm Jason Saghini. There were a lot of fireworks in the main event game last night, Greg, but unfortunately, none of them came from Eric Wynalda's side. Seattle Sounders go on to a 5-0 victory.
Hey, with all the talk coming into this game with Cal FC going up to Seattle, they beat Portland last week. There was lots of hype. All of a sudden, Cal FC have Fox Soccer on their jerseys. The game was on Fox Soccer, and you know what? For 50 minutes, they did very well, I thought. They actually held Seattle at bay for about 50 minutes. Then there was a penalty called, and it was the right call. Ozzy Alonso puts away the penalty, and then the floodgates just opened after that. You almost knew as soon as that first goal went in for Seattle, they were going to be able to steamroll Cal FC because of their superior fitness, superior just cohesion as a team. And once they broke through, it was done for Cal FC.
You got to say finishing ability, too. When you look at that goal that Ozzy Alonso scored, a golazo, from distance. Seattle turns it on. They run away with this game. They move on. They're going to end up facing the San Jose Earthquakes, who advanced as well. But, Greg, there was an upset on Tuesday night. It came, though, in Pennsylvania.
And it's amazing because this is one I don't think we expected, because the New York Red Bulls did so well last week in the third round that we thought that this was something that, after the criticism of last year, the Red Bulls were all about making sure they did well this year. Instead, they go to Harrisburg City Islanders and they lose 3-1. Now, this is the same City Islanders team that beat the beat the Revolution last week in that sort of amazing extra time victory, coming back and then penalties to get the win. So the Red Bulls, I think, just ended up not showing up the way they did last week, and I think it was, I think, disappointing for the Red Bulls in many ways.
Yeah, note to MLS teams: you do not want to go into extra time against the Harrisburg City Islanders. They put on another great performance, and they move on to the next round. Well, Harrisburg will move on to take on the Philadelphia Union, who got past DC United in extra time last night.
Yeah, and it was Freddy with the assist on Antoine Hoppeneau's goal. I mean, if you don't know who Hoppeneau is, he's a rookie this year. He hasn't played for the Union, really, but he came off the bench and he got the goal. He actually said after the game that he has dreamt of getting a game-winning goal. Well, the dream has become reality for Hoppeneau. For Freddy this was a big match as well, because they were playing at the University of Maryland, and this is a field where he first made his name many, many years ago here in the United States. So a big emotional night for Freddy. Interesting matchup now, Jason, though. Harrisburg is actually the official USL affiliate for Philadelphia. So it's sort of like big brother and little brother taking on each other in the quarterfinals of the US Open Cup.
Yeah, JT Noon on Harrisburg has played for Philadelphia, was drafted by them. So they definitely will be familiar with each other. Moving on, the other game last night featuring two MLS teams. Sporting Kansas City hosted the Colorado Rapids, and Sporting did the job at home.
And Teal Bunbury did the job in particular. He got 2 goals. He now has 5 goals in his last 4 matches against Colorado in all competitions. So I think the Rapids want to maybe watch some tape of him, some extra tape of him next time they play against Sporting.
Rounding out the matches from yesterday, I mentioned earlier, San Jose advanced on the Steven Lenhart goal. They'll move on to take on the Seattle Sounders. Chivas USA came to the East Coast. They got the win. We thought they might have been an upset candidate, but they get out of there with a victory. And rounding out the final 8 for this round, Greg, 2 more lower division teams.
Yeah, and actually the away teams getting the victory. The Dayton Dutch Lions with a 2-1 victory over the Michigan Bucks in Michigan. And then down in San Antonio, a really good one down there. It was a 2-1 victory for the Charlotte Eagles over San Antonio. They get a penalty in the, I think it's about the 115th minute that they end up getting that one, and Charlotte pulling off the win in San Antonio.
Log on to MLSsoccer.com for all the recaps from US Open Cup action and the schedule for the quarterfinals. Yesterday was the draw for the CONCACAF Champions League group stage. We found out the matchups, and Greg, in very interesting matchup, Toronto FC matched up against Santos Laguna again. Remember, they had a very contentious affair when they met in this year's Champions League.
Yeah, in the semifinal series with Santos this year, they went down to Santos and got shellacked in the end. But up in Toronto, it was a dogfight, really. Hercules Gomez got the goal for Santos against Toronto, and that one is a 1-1 draw. And I think it's going to be the same this year. There's going to maybe be some payback, I think, for Toronto up against Santos this year.
All right, when you look at these groups, is there one that stands out as the group of death?
I don't know if it's a group of death, but I think that Real Salt Lake, they got a tough draw in this one. Herediano from Costa Rica and Tauro FC from Panama. it's not that these are, I would say world-beating teams, but it's very hard to get results down there. Tower FC is a team we've seen that can scratch out a win at home, and Herediano has some talent on that one too. So that's going to be a tough group for all three of those teams, especially for Arrasada.
All right, another interesting one is Houston Dynamo matched up against Olympia of Honduras, because Houston Dynamo actually rumored to be going after one of their best players, Oscar Boniac Garcia. He's a midfielder on the Honduran national team. One other note from these teams, the LA Galaxy will be in Champions League. They are playing right now without Edson Buttle, though he had surgery yesterday, out for 6 weeks. Daniel Keat as well in the same situation. Wrapping up the Daily for today, I want to remind you, if you are going to be watching the Euros and you're a Jimmy Conrad fan, check out Kick TV. He's headed over to the Euros. He'll be in Poland and Ukraine, doing what Jimmy Conrad does, entertaining, coming up with some great videos. Again, that's YouTube/Kick TV. You can check that out. We'll be back on the Daily tomorrow.